Yo, what's up, anglers? All right, welcome back to the channel. So here we are. It's tournament day on Swinging Bridge Reservoir. We didn't get to pre-fish this lake, but I did do a lot of off-the-water research. As soon as I launched my kayak, I noticed that the water level was way down. So the first thing I did was I paddled across to the other bank. I was looking at my electronics, and I wanted to kind of get a reading of how down the water level actually was, so that way we can compare what we're doing and the contour lines that we looked at off the water to the actual water level of the lake when we were fishing it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just looking at my electronics, looking at the shoreline, just trying to get an idea of how far down the water level is compared to the mapping and stuff that we looked at in the off the water research video. All right, guys. So once I got to the other side, I started working down the shoreline. I threw a chatterbait and I threw a couple moving baits up shallow. And then I noticed that the bank was all chunk rock and gravel. So I started working my way out a little deeper. Once I got into about 10 to 15 feet of water, I found a nice contour line, and that rock just stopped and it dropped off into deeper water. So I started fishing that edge with a Neko rig, and that's where I hooked up with my first fish. Stay hooked in. Trying to.
Oh, I see a net out. I'm like, oh, two out.
Yeah. Get in there. Oh. All right. Whew. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Dialed In. All right, so I just caught my first fish here on Swinging Bridge Reservoir, a nice smallmouth bass. I caught her a little deeper on one of the first drop-offs on about 10 to 15 feet of water. So we're gonna work this little ledge I found right here, and after I measure this one up. All right, so after catching that first fish, I kept working that rock edge, working my way down, still towards that main lake point, and I'm just following that edge right along, throwing a Neko rig and trying to find where the rock stops and the drop off starts. I was able to find that edge on my electronics and keep going, and that's when I caught my second fish. All right, guys, fish number 2. So I think I got a little bit of a pattern going. The water's definitely way down. It's a very rocky shoreline, and then it just drops right off. And what I'm doing is I'm sitting out in the deeper water, and I'm fishing this up right on the edge of the rocks and letting it drop down the ledge. And I just caught my second smallie doing that. So I'm going to get this guy measured up, get him back in the water, and then we'll get back to it. All right, so after catching our second fish, I worked my way down the bank a little more. I hopped over to that main lake point that we looked at in the off the water research video. All I caught off that point was a bluegill. So I wanted to turn around and go back and continue fishing that rock edge where I caught the first 2 fish. So this is what I did. I turned around. I'm backtracking now the other way, continuing to work that edge. Okay, guys, so I ended up spending about another half an hour to 45 minutes going back and forth and working that ledge really well in 15 feet of water. I ended up catching one more dink. Unfortunately, this guy wasn't enough to measure, so I figured it was time to abandon this area and go down the lake and try and find something else that the fish were relating to. Okay, so after fishing my way down the bank, it seemed that the ledge bite had died down. The sun had started coming out, so I came across my first dock of the day. So I wanted to dip in and see if there was any fish hanging out underneath it. Good stick. Good stick. Not what I want. Why are you on the dock? It's not rocket. Last thing I want to see upstate is a fucking pickerel. So there ended up being a decent sized pickerel underneath this dock. Even though it was a pickerel, I figured let me work down the lake and see if I could find some bass because there was definitely fish holding underneath the docks in the shade. So that was my game plan after releasing the snot rocket. There he goes. Okay, so being that I caught a pickerel off that dock, I didn't want to totally abandon my first pattern. So I'm following that 15-foot contour ledge down to the next dock. And my plan was to kind of work that ledge in 15 feet of water, dip in, fish the dock, and then go back out to that ledge again. Because I didn't want to totally abandon my first pattern. So I'm kind of working a double pattern here. Damn it. Yep, that was a nice 2-pound smallie that just jumped off my hook. I fished this tournament a couple months ago. It's taken me a while to edit it, but in case you guys are wondering, yeah, it still burns.
Damn it.
Okay, so after losing that nice smallie, I worked my way down that contour edge a little bit more, and I came in contact with my next dock. So let's see if there's any bass hanging out underneath here. Okay, so this bass here was barely a keeper. I think it just went 12 inches, but it gave us our limit, and now we know that there's bass up on the docks. So we have a double pattern going here. Alright guys, so I just got my limit. That last fish was caught under a dock. I just caught a nice pickerel a few minutes ago, also under a dock. So I'm going to try getting on a dock bite. The sun's up, definitely a good reason for them to be on the docks, and there's not really much cover on this lake. It's either deep water or docks. So since I caught that last fish on the dock, I'm going to see if I can get on a pattern. I'll check in with you guys once I figure it out. Alright, so here we go. Another bass off a dock. Even though this is a dink, it proves that our pattern is working.
Okay.
Here we go, another snot rocket. Unfortunately, these fish, they do fight hard, and they are a lot of fun to catch, but this is definitely the last thing I want to see during the tournament. Alright guys, so here's a little scenario about bass fishing etiquette. I don't know if you could see, but right in this little cut here, my buddy Ricky J is fishing right about there. And if you look right next to him, you can see that bass boat. That bass boat, about 2 minutes before this, came off plane in the middle of the lake, put its trolling motor down, went over and started casting right on top of Ricky J. Ricky J was camped out there fishing that cut for about 10 minutes, and this boat just comes in out of nowhere and basically starts crossing lines with Ricky J. This is very poor etiquette, guys. So this is just one of the worst examples I've seen on fishing etiquette. Don't be that guy. As you can see, I can't take my eyes off of the situation over there. I mean, I was getting really heated. I was going to fish this lay down and then go over there and possibly say something. And then I hooked into this fish. This ended up being an upgrade for me.
I knew that lady was going to produce.
Alright guys, I just caught this one. This will give us a little upgrade, not much, but about an inch and a half upgrade. So I'm going to measure her up and we'll get back to fishing. Alright guys, so here we are. It's almost noon. I'm sitting in first place as of right now. I don't know if guys are sandbagging or not, but I definitely have a double pattern going. Seems to be working, and all I'm using is a neck over rig worm, a 4-inch neck over rig worm on light spinning tackle, and basically just skipping it and then letting it fall down on that contour edge. So alright, I'm going to keep working this bait and probably work this pattern for the rest of the day, and we'll get back to the dock and see what happens. Alright, back to fishing. Not a great. Not another pickerel. Ah, no. Sick of you. No. Slimy fuck. Alright guys, so after catching that last big pickerel off of that lay down, I worked my pattern for the rest of the day, bouncing back and forth between that 15-foot contour edge and the docks. Overall, I was pretty impressed with this tournament. I definitely learned some things about my electronics and gained some more confidence, and our off-the-water research definitely also played a key part. It was time to head back to the ramp and see how we finished.
Wrap it up.
Beat the freaking traffic.
Yeah, there you go. Watch this whole view too. It's like the shittiest fucking brick ever. Ah, you.
All right. First, I just want to go over real quick. Good job on the water. You guys all seem to finally put a pattern together of some sort, put some fish on the board. In third place with 42 inches, Willis. Got the check from last Yeah, you in third place, man. $91.
Woo. I want to thank my sponsors, my wife.
For letting you fish.
I should be home sleeping.
Second place with 42.5 inches and $137. Chris. Salt check. Okay, I'll never forget that. Good job, Chris.
Thank you.
Good job, Chris.
I told you saw Zeke for like the whole year.
That's all right. 7 letters, 1 vowel, man. Thank you.
Nice job, Chris.
Thank you.
And in first place with 44 inches, the man on fire this year, Anthony.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Big Fish was 16 inches and was tied between Anthony and Jack. You both split for $65 each.
Good picture, Jack.
Nice job, Jack. Good job on Big Fish.
All right, so big shout out to the winners, Louie, Chris, and myself. Also to Jack for tying Big Fish. Great job, guys. It was definitely a grind out there. This wrapped up our 2019 points season. I was very happy with my season. This was good enough to secure me my 3rd Angler of the Year title in a row. So now it was time to set our gaze on the LIKBF Classic on Candlewood Lake. Stay tuned for that video coming up next. If you guys want to get notified about it, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on that bell notification. And once the video is edited, you'll get notified and you'll be able to watch it. It should be coming up shortly. All right, guys. Thanks for watching as always.